Whoever's on here, can you guys let me know if you can hear me?
Yes, I'm.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sheriff.
Good afternoon.
I'm pulling up your membership to hope that you're going to have enough people to have a meeting today.
I know, I'm hoping to. I'm not. We'll see. It's that time of year, I guess, or that kind of week.
Yeah, that kind of weekend this time of year. You're right.
I hope everybody had a good holiday and good New Year's. I feel like we just went through this and now a year's gone. It's exhausting.
Goes by way too fast.
Does. Somebody told me the older you get, the faster it goes by, and they were not lying.
It is true. Absolutely true.
Not that I'm getting older, but
Well, if it's any benefit, I'll always be a step ahead of you, so it goes shorter for me.
Here we go.
Sheriff, have you heard anything or has anybody approached you about a replacement for Doug Norton?
They have not, but I can certainly reach out to somebody and see if that is even on their purview. I know he was trying to work on that or had mentioned it prior to his retirement, so
Yeah.
I'll put that on my list of things to do. I just thought about that too the other day.
Who would you, in your mind, reach out to through VSP for that seat?
Well, I think I'd reach out to the, I don't know who I would reach out to the Derby barracks down, I mean, the Rutland barracks down there and see if he had, or maybe I'll just reach out to Doug. Does anybody, do we have a personal address for him? And maybe he can give me an idea of who he spoke with down there to see if they've gotten
Good
anywhere
question.
with it.
I don't know. I can check with the station commander there in Rutland and just see if there was any leftover information that he had about that.
Okay,
And then if not, then who would he recommend that I reach to with command staff to, get a replacement for him?
okay, that sounds great. I appreciate you doing that. Okay. Hi, Loretta. Hi, Savannah.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, everybody.
Oop, and Happy New Year.
Oh, yes, Happy New Year. Okay, Katie should be logging on in a few minutes. Are we still just on one page or I don't know,
Yeah.
am I seeing everybody? Okay.
Yep, need 3 more to sign on.
Heather didn't say she wasn't gonna not be here. Nicole said she may not be able to be here because she just got put back on the road, so I think she's gonna maybe have to reevaluate. I'm not sure how long that's gonna be for her or not.
Hello, I'm here representing Vermont Center for Crime Victim Services, the compensation program. Jody can't make it today.
Oh, great. Thank you, Christine.
Just figured I'd let you know who I was and everything. Well, I've met Jennifer, but the rest of you I don't think I know. So hello.
Hi. So do we still need 3 more or 2 more, Director?
You need 2 more.
With Christine? Okay.
Hey, Christine, did you work for Umbrella a long time ago? For like a blink?
Oh, I worked at Umbrella from 2000 to 2006.
That's
So
what
a
I thought.
long blink.
Yeah.
I don't recognize you though.
We didn't work together at the time. I started in 2010 with Umbrella, but we had a party or some kind of celebration, I think, at your house. And was it your husband that made the bacon cheesecake?
Oh yes. Oh my
Yes.
God, I can't believe that's what you remember. That's
That's
so
what I
funny. I'll let
remember.
him know. He'll be thrilled.
Yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is her. I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, excellent.
Sorry, I put myself on mute. We should have quorum in just a couple minutes. Nicole and Katie said they're just about ready to sign on, so hopefully they'll be here in just a couple minutes. Hi, Nicole. Happy New Year.
Hi, Happy New Year. Sorry, I'm kind of running around doing stuff.
It's okay. I appreciate you being able to log on.
Did you hear from Carolyn Hanson that she wasn't going to be able to make it today?
Yeah, she sent an email saying she wasn't gonna be able to make it. In fact, yeah, she sent also some comments about the meeting minutes, so we'll address
Oh.
that.
I remember seeing that. I just didn't remember her saying she wasn't gonna make the meeting in that same email.
I think it was in the same email, but hi, Heather.
Hi, apologies for being late. I'm so sorry. I have a wrestling match with this link every time and it's just it's me, I'm sure.
It's all good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely.
we
So
have
sorry.
quorum now.
Oh, good.
So thank you, everybody. Happy New Year. So it's about 9 after 1, and I'm gonna start the meeting. I'm gonna call it to order. So additions and deletions to the agenda. I know that we wanted to discuss today. I thank you, Director, for being here. I don't know if we're gonna, I know that Kim McManus may not be here, and she was the one that really brought up the whole roles and responsibilities. So I think maybe we can talk a little bit about it, but I wanted her to be present for that, but we can certainly start the conversation. So I was gonna add that to the agenda if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, that's perfect because it gives us a
Okay.
chance to outline it in a recording for them to take a look at.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm adding that. Everybody okay with that? Can I get a motion to approve that, adding that to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Thank you, Loretta. A second for Christine? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Right, so that passes. Thank you. Approve the minutes from December 11th, 2025. Did everybody get a chance to review Carolyn's additions to the comments that she wanted to make, and I would like to read them into this part, if that's okay, before we approve them? Is that okay? Okay. And I'm gonna read them because I wasn't smart enough to figure out how to print the comments, so. Carolyn had a suggestion that under the LAP, that some agencies are using the Maryland LAP, but the model is being discontinued in 2026, and the new Maryland LAP is a subscription-based model that the committee does not believe is good fit for Vermont. So she wanted to put that under the meeting minutes in that area. And then she also wanted to comment, I'd say that the Fatality Review Commission has recommended that LAP be a consistent practice throughout the state. I'm not sure exactly where that was supposed to go, but and then she wanted to talk about funding, that she wanted to clarify that the commission has emphasized in its recommendation that the legislature needs to provide adequate funding for that, any kind of training moving forward. And that she explained that there was federal funding available through the DV risk to provide the training at no cost to agencies, although in parentheses, all trainings, the agency would still be responsible for covering shifts in the cost of its personnel attending. And then regarding the Dale, was selected as the LAP tool. They recommended that we pilot the tool in several agencies before rolling it out statewide, hoping to identify several agencies interested in piloting the LAP and welcome to help spreading the word to law enforcement. And then regarding the ERPO, the National ERPO Center, which is erpo.org, has funding to provide the training at no cost to the state. The committee was given a sample training outline to review. Carolyn pointed out that there have been very few ERPO petitions filed, and it is likely because many agencies are not familiar with the process. The committee will discuss the opportunity and Carolyn will follow up with Lisa and Spencer. And then she just wanted to add that Kim had asked the clarifying question of the role and function of the committee members. So with that being said, in those additions to the December 11th meeting minutes, can I get a motion to approve those, or is there any? People hear me?
Yes, I'd make a motion to make those additions.
Thank you,
and
Heather.
approve them.
A
Yeah.
second.
Thank you, Loretta. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand, please. Okay, motion moves. Thank you. Okay. All right. Did everybody get a chance to review the training, the online training? Oh, Lisa, go ahead.
Thanks, Sheriff Harlow. I was just wondering if we could do quick introductions, just because Christine is here new and I think we've
I'm
crossed
sorry.
paths, but I think maybe it'd be good for people to do introductions if we have time.
Sure. Sorry, Christine.
That's okay.
I'm Jennifer Harlow, Sheriff of Orleans County. Heather?
I'm Heather Holter, and I am the co-director of the Vermont Council on Domestic Violence. I'll
I
hand
can
it
do
off
it,
to
Heather, it's
Lisa.
fine.
Okay, great.
Savannah?
Hi, I'm Savannah Williams. I'm the operations director for Umbrella, serving Orleans and Northern Essex counties.
Nicole?
I am Nicole Peatman. I work for Essex PD. I'm assigned to the CHIT unit for special investigations. And I'm going to try to jump onto my computer or my car because my phone battery is super low.
Okay. Loretta?
Loretta Stallnaker, Royalton Police Department. Here with the Chiefs Association. Sorry, I've been sick, so I'm a little croaky.
Katie, if you can hear us, we're doing introductions. Christine is joining us in place of Jody for today.
Hi, Christine. Katie, Human Trafficking Case Manager Coordinator. I had the pleasure of working with Christine for many years, but thank you. And sorry for my delay.
No,
Going
thank you.
over
Appreciate
time
you being here.
transitions today.
Director?
Sorry, Chris Burkell, Executive Director of the Vermont Criminal Justice Council / the Vermont Police Academy.
And Lisa?
Hi, Christine. Lisa Ryan, she, her pronouns. I am the Community Inclusion Director here at the Vermont Police Academy.
Mara? Are you on or?
Hi, Mara Iverson. I'm the Fair and Impartial Policing Instructor here at the Academy.
Thank you. Chris?
Hi, my name is Chris Burkett. I'm the Associate General Counsel for the Vermont Criminal Justice Council and the Vermont Police Academy.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody?
Just me.
Christine? Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
now
I'm
I'm losing
Christine
people.
Morrison. I'm currently the compensation manager at the Vermont Center for Crime Victim Services, but I've been here since 2006, either as a claim specialist or I worked in the grants department for the center for a couple of years.
Well, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Okay, did everybody get a chance to review the online training? Boy, you guys are a talkative group this morning.
I did.
I did.
Did everybody pass the quiz?
Yes.
I didn't
Oh,
take the
that's
quiz.
How'd you get away with that? Okay, so did anybody have any feedback?
I'm sorry, I might have missed it, Sheriff. How many people from the subcommittee had a chance to review it?
I'm having a hard time
I think I
declaring
heard
it.
Loretta.
I started it. I have not taken the quiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have not had the chance. I've been out with the flu. This is my first time back, but I will work on that today for sure.
Anybody else, members, watch it?
I also have been out for 2 weeks and this is my first week back, so I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Okay.
I
Heather?
transitioned back to the room. It's
Oh.
been stressful, so I haven't been able to review much. Sorry.
That's okay. Heather?
Oh yeah. I also have only watched part of it. And I had a question about our just sort of like process and timeline about like in terms of if we did have feedback about changes to it, is it we gave some feedback that around before, and I just wasn't clear about whether we could make feedback that would, give feedback that would be a substantive change, or if we're kind of like past that point right now.
I think, Director, if you want to answer that, but Director wanted this out as soon as possible to be available for agencies, unless I'm getting that wrong, sir. So I'm not
No.
really sure, and I think that depending on what the comments or the feedback is, would determine, we may have to do it, depending on what it is, may have to do that portion over again.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not trying to yeah, I mean, I was just curious. I don't have like a big, earth-shattering change, to propose. I just was I just was curious about that because I saw the link and also know that folks are like recording their parts of it. I mean, those are the more independent pieces or whatever, but I just really wanted some just to be clear about that, because I don't want to hold up the process, and I also want to make sure that I'm clear about what, how I
okay,
can
I'll
be
leave that
valuable.
to Director to answer,
Yeah.
if that's okay, Director.
I can. This is just my perspective though, and that's kind of why we have a subcommittee. So that's the piece that's kind of the roundabout talk. I think from my perspective at this point, I don't know what changes could be made to the content of the training. I know that one of the things that we discovered, at least on our end, was that you could, I didn't know this, but I think it was through either Lisa or our Jen Furpo, was that you could actually skip the recorded portion and go right to the testing, which would not account for somebody watching the actual, content of the delivery. So that's something that my understanding is it's just a matter of a switch here on our end or in the process of setting that up that maybe Lisa will be able to respond to a little bit better. But in addition to that, I think, I guess I would call it a little bit of a critique is that the only person that I had trouble hearing was Sarah Robinson's recorded version. And that version was not done with the rest of the folks. So I don't know if it was technical difficulties with either equipment she was using or the location. But I couldn't enhance her voice to hear it any better than, for me, what I would classify as minimally. So that was problematic for me. But I don't know, short of her actually re-recording that could be done. And herein lies the problem, right? Everyone has commitments, and they're right now just beginning to start to get to the peak of what it is that their responsibilities are for their full-time jobs. So I'm not sure what could be done there, but at least I'll let you speak to that setting or that control.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Director. Jen Furpro and I went through it maybe yesterday, the day before. I was able to just take the quiz. I'll say I had the links before, so I'd already watched it separately, but in the way that I did it, I didn't have to watch the video. So it'd be helpful to know, for those of you who haven't taken it yet, if that is the same case on your end. And that way we can go in behind on the administrative part and figure out what the issue is there. So if somebody who hasn't taken it could let me or somebody know, that would be helpful.
Right, because when I did it, I didn't try to skip to the quiz, so I'm not sure if I can certainly go back and try and do that though, and see if it would.
So I
Katie asked
guess,
if some, sorry.
yeah, no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Director, it's fine.
I guess I'm just, this kind of like my feedback about this would be kind of along the same lines of kind of a discussion in general about the subcommittee, what their task is and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to jump from one to the other, but I think that they're all kind of inclusive, and it's a shame that you know, Sarah and Carolyn and Kim aren't here, but at the very least, there's the recording of this meeting. I think what I heard in your last meeting, and well, let me first start out by saying that law enforcement is responsible to take mandated domestic violence training that's created by the council every even year. So as of January 1st, this should have been out for them to be able to take, and or it should have been able to be delivered in person by that date so that they have the full year to figure out how they're going to schedule people that are on military leave, sick leave, vacation, all those things that, you know, complicate the fact of mandated training. That said, you all know, as this work group, how much time it's taken to get there. I mean, it's been a period of 2 years. And the only responsibility really of this subcommittee as a mandate is to get that biannual training completed and basically put that content together. And I think let me preface my comments by saying anything that I say that I see problematic is not meant to be critical of anybody or any agency or any organization, because this is, being on a subcommittee is a lot to ask of the council, because everyone has their own full-time job. Everybody has their own other responsibilities other than to the council as a volunteer member. So we take all those into consideration, but then that's why we also ask for membership on committees for people that A, have the interest and expertise, 2, have the time and the desire to work towards these goals, and then 3, to actually push forward for anything further than that. And we experienced this same kind of problematic struggle with the Fair and Impartial Policing Subcommittee. They have the same responsibility of reviewing and looking at the fair and impartial policing policy that's mandated and creating that training that moves forward. But they found that there's a lot more work that goes involved in that. I mean, they've taken testimony from outside stakeholders, from people that disagreed. They've met with the Attorney General's office, had several legal folks come in and speak to the legal parameters around that policy. It's a lot of work, and yet they also found the time that they went through a period of renewed folks that came in, people stepping up to step into roles that people couldn't do anymore. So what I have done is, and I apologize that you probably should have gotten this sooner. I'm going to send this out and put it in the chat. And this is my version or attempted version of the rework of the charge of this subcommittee. And I sent this to Sheriff Harlow, but just last night. So I don't expect responses from this. This is so that you have it and you have a chance to digest this and see if this is what you signed up for or not, or where you see problems with it. It essentially holds the same responsibility, which is the mandatory training that we are required to train to. But my vision of this work group would be really to enhance the training that we don't do in service-wise on a regular basis. So my hope would be, because of the people that are on this subcommittee and the expertise that you have individually, and the pull and the national best practices that you have access to, would help us design an in-service training that we could actually put some money into record well, have people that are willing to come down here and teach it for us on a monthly basis, or put it together so that our training coordinator, Jen Furpo, can deliver that training on a monthly basis so that people have the ability to come to something other than they're mandated to go to, that it's something that somebody can come to once a month. They can come in person. It works for their schedule. It's not something that they're being told that they have to do. And that I feel is one of the drawbacks when you have a mandated training. That puts everybody into the mindset, we have to do this whether we want to or not. We're stuck with whatever the topic of the content is, and we're required to do it by statute. So it puts everybody into defensive mode, and how do we best do that? And how do we accommodate for an agency that has 50 to 60 employees and it doesn't break our bank of overtime, to how do we do it for an agency of 3 or 4 people that might live 2.5 hours away from the academy, right? We want to make it available multiple times. So my hope and desire would be for this subcommittee to continue with their national charge statutorily of developing the biannual training that is mandatory, but to really, in that off time, which is 2 years, to be able to put some real effort into developing some or multiple areas of training that we could offer in-house as in-service training, that I would welcome SMEs on this subcommittee to come and instruct on, or be the folks that help create that content for our own instructor to deliver that here. So that's my thought. This rewrite of the charge of the committee is very closely aligned to the same charge of the Fair and Impartial Policing Subcommittee. So if you want to look at those and compare them, or I'd be happy to suggest that anybody on this subcommittee that feels that they would benefit by talking to people on the FIP subcommittee and see what that transition looked like, what that work entailed. I don't ever want our ask to be something that says to people, I don't have the time, I can't do it. If you're interested and you're committed, you'll find that time, but it does require time. And if you can't devote that time, we should find the people that can or are willing to. And as you will find by talking to other people that chair other committees, is that someone in that committee has to be the taskmaster, set dates, set meeting dates. When somebody can't make it, who's the person stepping in to fill that void for that person that can't make it? We don't cancel meetings. This subcommittee has canceled a lot of meetings. And again, I think for part of it was just people's unavailability and the size. We went through that struggle. We've added more people to this subcommittee, hoping to alleviate some of that, and with recommendations from the chair and our in-house staff about who would be good on this subcommittee. But as you can see, I mean, it's just the beginning of the year. We're already struggling to meet a quorum, and people are getting reassigned to other duties that make it difficult. So again, this isn't a call out of anybody's desire to want to do this, but it's work that we have to get done nonetheless. And it's a responsibility that I have. So my inkling is going to be to really get people that are committed, that want to do this work, that have the availability to do this work. And we're not constantly behind delivering on what we're mandated to deliver by statute. So I'll stop there and take any feedback or friendly or angry fire back, because none of it's meant to be that way. But again, a lot of this is, you're just seeing it. So I don't expect anybody to really absorb it and have any full vetted thoughts. But if there's something that jumps out at you, I'd be happy to hear that too.
I have a couple thoughts if I could jump in. I really appreciate this. And so two thoughts. One is that I mean, I just really love the idea of this committee being more, if I'm understanding correctly, like more involved in the sort of like ongoing and the in-service training opportunities. I think that one of the things that's always been, I mean, clearly I could go and observe the training and I haven't done it, but one thing that I know that I've always sort of wanted is to really have a clearer sense of, the whole training that law enforcement get. And, again, I realize that's accessible to me and I haven't taken the opportunity. But yeah, to also think about how the training that we provide can build and we can be continually offering new information and new skills. So I really like that idea. Um, and I just really appreciate this conversation. I've been on this committee for a really, really long time through a lot of different folks being on the committee and in different positions. And I think I'm it just seems like a really hard, I don't know why, sort of n- um I guess it's always been a little challenging for me to understand kind of like the through line in terms of what um like how could this committee um be yeah, just like more engaged. And I think it's challenging because obviously someone is putting all the parts and pieces together. And sometimes I feel like we I don't know if like if we were to and I'm, just stop me at any time, but I'm just always thinking about this, about my role on this committee and how I could be more effective, like have more, perhaps like more like longer and more intensive meetings when we're figuring out like really, the nuts and bolts of something. Like sometimes I think having the shorter meetings means that we don't get to dive like as deeply, when we're really imagining what we want the content of a training to be. I'm definitely guilty of not doing my homework, and so that would make it more effective too on occasion. But long ago when this committee was meeting and creating the training, we did that a few times, and I think that full. So I just like we'll throw that out. Um, but yeah, I just really like the idea of really as a committee member, what would help me is really understanding what the foundational training law enforcement officers get, and then and I, having been on the committee for a long time, have this information, but I have on occasion really benefited from looking back at what is the training we've provided in the past as the mandatory biennial training. And then, yeah, thinking about what we could do on top of that. I really love that idea.
Well,
Lots of thoughts.
to your point there, like for instance, the FIP subcommittee had for a period of time some 2-hour meetings. Now, that's difficult for any subcommittee to do and carve out time, especially when you have attorneys on those meetings to do that. But it was needed to really vet through a lot of that stuff. And I think that that's sometimes I don't want to say frustration, but the trouble with this topic is too important to me to take like just another training topic, right? This is all folks who have a vested interest in how victims are treated, how law enforcement reacts to domestic violence situations. And, we have law enforcement on this subcommittee for a reason, because they're the ones that are doing the work. They're the ones that understand the nuances of how training impacts them and how sometimes things don't work in real life situations, or how sometimes if they were given different tools, things might work better for them. So I think a really deep invested conversation from SMEs out in the world, not just Vermont law enforcement, but out in the world, of what are best practices, what are emerging trends, how are things that help law enforcement deal, not just in Vermont, but on a nationwide basis. And then we do what we always do when it comes to Vermont. We make it Vermont specific. Like, how do we know that certain things are done a little bit differently here in Vermont. So it's not that folks on this subcommittee don't have the commitment. It's just that I think maybe with a refocused purpose of who's got what responsibility, what do I have to give to that subcommittee, and then on our staffing end is making sure that we support whatever it is that the chair needs to hold people accountable and make that happen. And then we're responsible for that additional, besides the, biennial piece, is to have what has been created by this subcommittee and is either created and delivered in conjunction with our staff person or left to her to do, but it's offered on a regular basis. And if it's put together in content that she can deliver, she can go out and regionally offer it to people where they can't get here, because we'll have that flexibility to do that. But when we have everybody focused on one thing for 2 years, we're not doing anybody any good by that, at least not by my standard. And so we really need to do more. And, we don't want to see any more victims being impacted in a negative way. And sometimes that'll happen regardless of the best training that you have. But, the more that we keep working on it and try to bring in, emerging trends and best practices, the better off I think the ultimate customer will be. Sheriff, I'd like to hear, what are the struggles of people on this subcommittee? Is it a matter of time commitment? Is it their own schedules? Or because it's not that, I get it's not that people don't care, but what are the real problems in bringing the committee together for that type of work?
Well, if anybody wants to answer, if not, I'll say something. I feel like it's a constant struggle every meeting that we have. There's a lot of information that comes in, good information, but then it's almost like nobody can make up their mind of what we're doing. And that takes a really long time to get the information. And then it's frustrating for me, to be very honest. I think it's frustrating when we send out information, people don't respond. And again, I'm not blaming anybody, because I've been just as guilty as this sometimes. I'm very busy, but I'm very passionate about this topic, and I am passionate about teaching my fellow law enforcement people. I go to national trainings. I hear everything that you're saying, Director, and I agree with it. I just feel like there's a lot of talk and not enough moving, and that's probably my fault because I'm the chair and I'm not taking control about this enough. But when people don't come prepared to meetings, things of that nature, it's not super helpful. And again, I've been guilty of all of these. I'm not blaming anybody. I've been guilty of it, and will probably be guilty of it in the future. But again, it just feels like we get someplace and then we go back, and then we get someplace and we go back, and this just takes forever to get things accomplished. And then again, there are, a lot of ideas, and maybe just focusing on a couple and then just doing that well, instead of having 3 or 4 different, a handful of things in the pot. And I hope that I'm presenting that where people can understand where I'm coming from, but and I have no problem. I agree with you, Heather, that there certainly should be some meetings that are longer so that we can dive into some things and be more productive. And we're all busy and things come up, and I don't know the good answer to that, Director. I think that this group also has been pretty, thankfully, flexible. If we've had to change a meeting, we need to get a meeting done, changing that and having people there, but I don't have a good answer to that, sir. So.
Well, first, let me just say, don't take any of the guilt on, because you are no different than any other committee that has these same struggles. I get it. Sometimes it's easy to internalize that this is our failure, and it's not. Every subcommittee faces this. And there's only one that doesn't, and that's because they set their schedule out for a year and they know they're fairly committed to that. And there's less of them, so it's easier to hold folks accountable. But I think this is a struggle that all subcommittees face. And I think one of the things that has to be identified is that someone, and they don't have to be the bad person, but somebody has to be the taskmaster at holding schedules and topics for discussion accountable. And when those discussions are taking place, then what's the next step? What's the next resolution? How do we move to, okay, that was a great discussion, but where are we moving forward with that? Because talking about it, like you said, is great, but if there's no a resolution or a decision on, okay, this is the area that we're going to move to the training. Now, who covers what components of that, or who can bring in expertise? That this is a struggle that is with every committee. And this is one of the reasons why, like, and I'm doing it actually with each committee that I meet with this time, but asking for folks to, in the beginning of the year, right, hold another vote and have this discussion first, but then vote on yourselves for a chair and a vice chair. Some people might say, you know what, I'm not doing the position justice, and have somebody else step up. Or they might say, I'm committed and I need better support. I need a vice chair. As long as people know what their responsibilities are, it's easier to step up and do that if you have the time. But as you point out, Sheriff, that's one of the drawbacks of being chairs, is that then you're tasked with the responsibility of holding people accountable, and sometimes people aren't accountable, even the best to try to hold them to being there. So I don't have solutions to that other than maybe some discussions amongst the subcommittee itself about, is there anybody else that wants to step up or has an interest or feels that they have those qualities that could keep people, and I'll say this only because she's not here and I know she'll kill me afterwards, but like, Kim is that taskmaster, right? There is no emotion. She gets exactly what needs to be done. She's very good at prioritizing. She puts everything down on paper, and without holding people accountable in what I would consider an emotional way, it's like, this needs to be done. Where are we at with it? And that's how committees move forward. She should also know that when you don't show up at a meeting, sometimes that's when things happen to you. But I'm not suggesting anybody make that happen with Kim, but I just think those are valid discussions, and it's a shame that, not everybody's here to hear it. But my hope would be that at the very least, at the end of this meeting, is that when this recording becomes available, you reach out to everybody on this committee and say, watch this meeting, hear the conversation, and agree, disagree, contact me, contact the chair. We need to have some discussions about where we're moving going forward, because it's not workable for me as the director of the council to say, I have a subcommittee that works for 2 years to get one training done. And it's a struggle to do that and get it done on time. And it's not because these people don't want to, but we need something that really benefits law enforcement, which is what our responsibility is to law enforcement, and making sure that we're giving them the best training that they should be getting to make their jobs easier. And in this case, to help victims and survivors, manage a process that's already tough that they're going through.
Katie, did you have a?
I did. I think as somebody that started fairly late, or being a fairly new member, I think that after this project is completed, it would be good to sit down and talk about roles, because I think for me, it's hard to know where to step in or what to do, because domestic violence is not my lane. I have trauma-informed information, and I work with individuals, or in the intersection of trafficking. But for me, especially around this project, I think that it had started prior to coming on. And so that's where it's like, what is I don't want to say the buy-in, right? But we all need to also have that buy-in to be participating. Like, I want to participate in these meetings because I feel as though it is valuable information. I would also like to maybe open up our lens to other types of intimate partner violence or interpersonal violence based on what we're seeing in the field. But I think that also it's been kind of taking a backseat now to observe and see where this is going, because I do not have I'm not an active participant in the current training. And so it's hard right now to know, like, where does that set in? So I'm wondering if sitting down and with the guide coming up with a mission, like, what is our mission for the group? What are our roles? How can we show up? And kind of having that, like, informal or formal MOU of, like, this is how I am going to show up. This is how I will be available. And I think having that, like, feeling a part of something gives that more of, yes, I want to participate. I want to be there, like, more teaming. And so I think and also I echo being somebody that does hold committees. It is so challenging and not mind numbing to have anybody or everybody read things and do things, and then, or have the dialogue and have the conversation. And I don't know if this is something, but I also wonder like if like once a year we do an in-person meet. Like there's such a great exchange for that energy and that excitement. Like we're getting so far away from that the intimacy of connection. And that's the other part. Like we are all showing up in our spaces. So I think that, or I have hope for what's to come. And this has been kind of an observation time for me of seeing how this is running out. And yeah, happy to help out in any way, I guess.
Thank you. Am I missing any? Okay, sorry. Does anybody else have any? Lisa?
Well, I'm not on the committee, so I don't want to take up space if committee members want to respond to anything of what has been said. But I'm just want to circle back to something Sheriff Harlow said in the beginning about this particular training. And I just wanted to say one of the things that I really liked about it is that the use of the Gabby Petito Foundation interviewing and footage. Sheriff Harlow, myself, and Jen Firpo spent a decent amount of time with the Petito family at the conference last year in Dallas. And so I just appreciate the work that Sheriff Harlow and Jen have done to keep in contact with that family and be able to use a lot of those materials, because that is, part of best practice. That is upcoming things. That's something new. The other piece that I wanted to mention, and I talked about this with Jen Firpo yesterday, and kind of told her I was going to bring this up. But one thing, as we're talking about responsibilities and roles of this committee, I noticed one of my pieces of feedback to Jen Firpo about the training was that I thought some of the quiz questions were a little bit too easy as far as like some of the options. Now, with that being said, I also understand that Jen Firpo was responsible for creating all of the quiz questions for content that she didn't create. So I do recognize that she had asked folks to submit their questions based on the content that they were providing. And so she was left to do it. And I just think that's an example of where maybe we can do better so that it's not all in one person. I know if I was creating a training, I would want to develop my own questions, quiz questions. So that's the potential feedback that I had regarding maybe if something could go differently, was to change some of those questions to be a little bit more difficult, but also know that she was responsible for doing it herself. So that's all. Thank you.
If I could add to that, thanks for that, Lisa, because I don't know if I was aware of that and it just escaped me or what, but at our council meeting that we had yesterday, part of my update to the council was this mandatory training that's supposed to be available January 1st. And my report to them was that it's in the final stages of completion and it's being reviewed today by this subcommittee. So my report to them was that this should be available by February 1st. That report is also, by the way, heard by those in law enforcement that are attending that meeting. So they have an expectation that by February 1st, they're going to be able to either sign up and or find out when those regional trainings are going to be offered. I understand from speaking to Jen Firpo yesterday that those dates have been narrowed down, but they haven't been solidified. And I know that that's part of the commitment, right, of doing it. I also mentioned at the council meeting yesterday that we would require a minimum attendance of 25 people to sign up for that to make it worth the effort of those instructors that were going to be rescheduling their daily activities and going to wherever the location was to do that training. So I firmly believe in in-person training and would love to have in-person training a lot more. The sad reality is that you can't mandate in-person training, especially when you're talking for an entire state and an entire profession that they have to take. So we have to offer it in either online or in multiple ways, which is what we're doing. But it doesn't take the content which again, in my estimation, in this topic is probably more important than many others, that be delivered in person so that you get that personal connection. You can ask those questions that come up when you're reading or hearing somebody lecture about something, when either you disagree with it or it went different for you. You don't have that availability to have the feedback with the instructor. So this is one of those topics that, again, if we get moving forward to just not biennial training, but something that we can have developed for in-service training, I would love to be able to offer that here or have our instructor go out to wherever it's needed, but on a monthly basis, so that we do get people that come in and get that interaction with somebody that they can have a conversation with back and forth. So maybe if I could follow up with you, Chair, as and ask for you to be the heavy in a couple of areas. One would be to reach out to those that were a part of putting the training together and give them an opportunity for like a week to provide questions that they would like to see for the quizzes at the end of their segments, since that didn't happen. And that way they could at least have the responsibility of taking the content that they helped to develop and develop those questions. And if we don't get it, we don't get it. But you know, we'll have the questions that were created by Jen Furpo. And then maybe another chance for maybe a date that you could reach out to people individually before the next subcommittee meeting, so that we're checking into with everybody that they've had a chance to review this training, they've had a chance to offer feedback, and they've had a chance to discuss my potential changes to the charge of the committee and anything else that they want to discuss. And I'm either happy to attend that or stay out of it, whatever works better for you.
Yeah, I will certainly work on that and get back to you with what the results are on that. If we want to have a meeting prior to our next meeting for a discussion on this, and I'll reach out to each person individually. Did anybody have any? Go ahead, Heather.
Oh, I'm just like thinking, just sort of brainstorming again, like as, Katie was about what would help me and in my participation. Like I wonder if and I'm just throwing out ideas here, but I wonder if it would be helpful for us to have, not that this hasn't been done before, but like just like a really clear calendar, to the point of, this, we do have a calendar, we know when the training's supposed to be done and available, but as a committee, sort of like an annual calendar about, okay, at at knowing at what meeting we're going to just sort of, be backing it up so that we're sure we're prepared at the beginning of the year to roll out the training. And again, I'm not saying this hasn't been done before, but I'm just like thinking, about what, what I think would help me as a participant. And, yes, clearly we have plenty of time. We have 2 years, and I love the idea of expanding to thinking about other training related to intimate partner violence that happens. But I think, yeah, just thinking about like a calendar so that we are, yeah, really clear about our deadlines. The other thing, and I know I can reach out to folks about this, is that, and this is just, I'm just thinking again for myself about how to like really re-engage and reset, is that I would love to familiarize myself with the training, the basic, the initial training on domestic violence that law enforcement receive. And again, just thinking about that through line, which is just like how my brain works, even though I know we're creating training that's about emerging best practice. But yeah, those are, I'm just thinking out loud.
Heather, we can send you a copy of what's currently being trained. However, that said, it's in revision. Actually, I think the revision of that has been completed, and I'm not sure if the stakeholder feedback period is still out there for the SMEs, but for what it's worth, it's one of the few that we got back from IALIS with the notation that the training was really rather well put together, up to date, had, the talking points and the learning objectives that needed to be in there. So they were, while there were modifications still made to it, they were quite complimentary of the work that was already being done in Vermont.
That's great. Thank you.
Does that mean any more comments? I have my list of what I'm going to be doing, and I will send out an email at some point this afternoon, advising everybody of what the expectation is, and then I'll be reaching out to them personally and getting out to the people that have conducted the training and asking for the questions again. So.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of the hard work that you've put into trying to help us be engaged.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything else?
I just have a quick question.
Go ahead, Christine. Yeah.
What would you like me to pass on to Jody, other than if she has not yet, please review and
Yep.
to have any questions that she may have? Is there anything else that
Is she
I
going to
just
be
want to
out
make
for a
sure?
long time, or she just, is this a short
Oh
time?
no, she has a cold.
Oh,
and she
okay.
wasn't feeling well, so I was like, no, didn't realize
Yep.
how important this particular meeting was. Otherwise, I wouldn't have volunteered to cover for her.
Joke's on you, huh, Christine?
Yeah, I
Well,
guess
we're
so.
glad you were
That's what you get sometimes, I suppose. So I just want to
So-
make sure that I'm clear in what she needs to do next if she has not already done it.
Yeah, I will, but I'll be sending out an email too, and if she has any questions, she can reach out to me, but I'll be sending
Okay.
out an email. Okay.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you very much.
And Director, when normally are these recordings available? I haven't been paying attention to that, so I apologize.
Yeah, sometimes it takes like 2 or 3 days before I get an email that pops up that says it's ready. I think that email actually goes to Jen. So I would say
Okay.
hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, and we'll make sure that
Okay.
Jen makes it available to everybody.
Okay, perfect. All right, I appreciate that. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Anybody?
adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you, everybody. All those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you. Oh, Katie, did you have a question? Oh, you just raised your, sorry.
That was my eye. I have a screaming dog in my house right now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, very much, and I will be in touch very soon. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.